Hey y'all, Matt here, and welcome back to the Ruth story. This is going to be the third part of this Friday series on the Bible study of Ruth. And today we're going to be in chapter 1, and we're going to cover verses 6 through 18. And the scripture says, "Then she arose with her daughter-in-law to return to the country of Moab, for she had heard in the fields of Moab that the Lord had visited his people and given them food. So she sent out from the place where she was with her two daughter-in-laws, and they went on their way to return to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her two daughters-in-law, 'Go, each of you to her mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant that you may find rest, each of you, in the house of her husband.' Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And they said to her, 'No, we will return with you and to your people.' But Naomi said, 'Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Have I yet sons in the womb that they may become your husbands? Turn back, my daughters. Go on your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I shall say I have hope, even if I should have a husband this night, and should bear sons, would you therefore wait until they were grown? Would you therefore refrain from marrying? No, my daughters, for it is exceedingly bitter to me for your sake that the hand of the Lord has gone out against me.' Then they lifted up their voices and wept again, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. And she said, 'See, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return after your sister-in-law.' But Ruth said, 'Do not urge me to leave you or return from following you, for where you go I will go, and where you lodge I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts me from you.' And when Naomi saw that she was determined to go with her, she said no more." So what we see here in this part of Ruth, again, history and culture, and the gap between the history and culture of this time period and ours, kind of rob us of some of what's going on here. Obviously, we can tell from reading, even in our culture, that Ruth is being very, very faithful to her mother-in-law Naomi, and that even though Naomi is telling Ruth that she can go back and live with her descendants, Ruth is choosing to be faithful to her and go back to Judah with her. And for us, it seems like a sweet story. It seems really nice that she would be faithful like that and do that. Seems like she's a good daughter-in-law to her mother-in-law. But there's a lot more to this. As we've talked about in our previous story or previous studies on Ruth, in this culture, a woman that was without a husband or a father was basically, lost. They couldn't own property, they couldn't inherit property, they couldn't work, and oftentimes they risked they were always at risk of starving to death, or they were very, very vulnerable to people that wanted to take advantage of them. In some cases, they'd even have to sell their bodies in order just to survive, to be able to get money to support themselves and to be able to have a place to stay and to eat. And so what's going on here is by telling Ruth and Orpah that they can return home, Naomi is basically telling them to go back to their families and their fathers, their brothers, any relatives that they have left, because these people could provide protection for these vulnerable women. By doing that, it would leave Naomi very vulnerable because she'd be returning back to Judah alone. But she understood that in this culture, it would have been a lot more beneficial. Their needs probably would have been a lot more likely to be provided for if Orpah and Ruth went back to their own people. It was likely that they may have a father or a brother that could look after them in this patriarchal society, and it was a lot more likely that they could find a new husband there even, because remember, the Jewish people were commanded in Deuteronomy not to intermarry with the Moabites, and both Orpah and Ruth are Moabites. So by sending them back to their own homeland, she's not trying to get rid of them or anything like that. She's trying to help them, she's trying to protect them, and she's basically allowing them a way out, because she knows if they return to Judah with her, she really doesn't know what's going to happen. They may be able to glean from fields and stuff like that, but she has no patriarchal figures left in order to care for her. So their future is basically up in the air. And that is why this is such an amazing story of faithfulness on Ruth's part. Because even though Ruth understands that she's probably more likely to survive and live a better life in Moab, she's faithful to her mother-in-law and she doesn't leave her. And she even says that when she returns, her gods will be her gods, her faith will be her faith, and that she's going to die with her. And as we see, as this story develops, as it unfolds, the Lord is at work here, and the Lord is going to reward her faithfulness. And but that's to come in the next video. So in order to find out what happens, you can cheat and read ahead, that's fine, but you need to join us back next Friday as we continue this story in part 4. But I hope you enjoy these stories, these studies. If you don't have a study Bible to read along and to study with us, text me, email me, and I'll get you a study Bible if you're local. If you have other topics you'd like to see hit, please text them and email them to me. But I'll see you back here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for new videos. I love y'all. Blessings.